Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for making the time to join us today on our next edition of AFRAA Sky-Connect Dialogue. In today's edition, my guest would be the Secretary General of Aci Africa, Mr. Aci Tounsi. Mr. Aci Tounsi, as many of you probably know, has been running Aci Africa region for quite a while now, and he is a dynamic leader in the aviation sector. And in today's discussion, we are going to focus on a few key, exciting subjects that might be of interest to all of us who have connected to participate in today's activities. Now, before I invite my guest, Mr. Ali, to tell us a bit about his organization, I just want to put in context that ACI Africa stands for Airport Council International, the Africa region. And the Africa region of the Global Airport Council International was established in 1991 and is currently headquarters in Morocco. The primary objective of ACI is to advance the interests of African airports and to promote professional excellence in airport management operations and professionalism across the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, as has been in past situations, before we kickstart, allow me to make a few housekeeping announcements. First and foremost, allow me to thank Mr. Aci Tounsi for taking time to join us today to share some thoughts on the airport sector. And secondly, ladies and gentlemen, we have we would actually have an opportunity for you to participate in this discussion through questions. So if you have any questions as the discussions unfold, please feel free to use the Q&A tab to put your question there, and at the appropriate time, I would review them and post them to Mr. Tounsi for response. Similarly, if you have comments, just put them in the chat box or similarly in the Q&A box, wherever you feel convenient, and we will pick them and deal with them as we go along. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to ACI Africa, in this edition of the program, we would have French and English translation simultaneously. So for those of you who would be more comfortable listening to the discussions in the French language, you go to the interpretation tab and you select your preferred language. So please just try and do that, and then you will feel very comfortable and you will enjoy every bit of this discussion. I am very sure at the end of it all, we will all leave here packed with information to guide us through. On that note, our discussion today will run for approximately 1 hour, taking us from now to the next on the hour. And it's now my pleasure to invite my guest, Mr. Aci Tounsi, to probably briefly tell us about the organization which leads ACI Africa, what they do for Africa. Thank you, Mr. Ali. You have the floor.
Okay. Thank you, Rafael, for the introduction, and good morning and good afternoon to our participants. First, let me thank AFRAA for this initiative, for inviting me today to speak friendly and frankly about our industry in Africa. So, without delay, I will start by giving you an overview of ACI Africa. ACI Africa is the main voice of African airports. It's a non-profit association established in 1991, and its mission is to represent and to promote the collective interest of African airport while favoring professional excellence in airport operation and management, resting on efficient and quality programs and services to achieve a safe, secure, and sustainable development of the air transport in Africa. At June this year, ACI Africa comprised 70 airport members from 53 African countries and managing more than 260 airports. ACI Africa also currently has 42 business partners representing key players of the aviation industry worldwide. ACI Africa also have regional committees, which are an integral part of the organization structure of ACI Africa, reporting to the board. There are currently 6 regional committees, which is safety and technical, security, facilitation, innovation and technology, environment and sustainable development, economy, and the last one is human resource. So this committee is composed by experts from African airport who met twice a year, but met a lot now online. Therefore, to summarize, ACI Africa's mission is to help African airports achieve their respective missions. So this is very summary about ACI Africa.
Thank you very much. 70 airports across 53 countries. That is a lot of load on your hands. So specifically, how do you help the airports in their developmental efforts, in their professional developmental efforts?
Yeah, about supporting our role and how we support African aviation and our members. ACI Africa always favorite proximity with its member and has always been at the service of African airport by offering several programs and services designed to bridge safety and security gaps, to improve airport infrastructure, to promote capacity building and help airport achieve aerodrome certification mainly. So the African Airport Development Program, which set in 2017, is now the lead program of ACI Africa and is now the gateway for African airport to confidently achieve excellence in management, operation, and capacity building through the sharing of expertise and experience on the African continent. We have developed this program with the unique philosophy of developing the African expertise in aviation by mainly African experts in order to advance the interest of the air transport industry in Africa. So with this program, we proactively assist and support African airport to achieve the required standards in safety, security, and airport operation, so as to effectively contribute in the building a resilience in and reliable aviation industry on the African continent on the spirit of SAATM. So this is one of the main program, but we have a lot of other programs, so I will tell you some of them. We have also other program and service to support African airport industry. I have here in mind the hugely successful program, which is the APEX or Airport Excellence in Safety and Security Program. The first APEX in Safety Review was conducted in Togo in September 2011. And subsequently, now more than 50 APEX reviews has been conducted in Africa alone, representing more than 50% of African countries. Since the creation, this is one of the main focusing in safety and security, which helps to achieve certification and SMS implementation. Other program of ACI Africa is prized very high among airport worldwide, including in Africa, as the Airport Quality of Service, or the ISQ. Since its creation in 2006, the ISQ program has become the world-leading airport passenger satisfaction benchmark, with around 400 airports participating across 100 countries. In fact, its scientific methodology. Please.
So if I may, I mean, you seem to be doing a lot in terms of capacity building. How do you generate the resources to be able to do all of this?
Please, Rafael, I don't hear you very well.
You are doing quite a lot in terms of capacity building.
Yes.
How do you generate the resources to undertake your programs?
Yes, in fact, we use mainly African expert, and now we have a huge database of experts, which is composed by African airport staffs and retired from experts from the industry, who now help us to build this database of course and courses, training courses, and now our catalog of courses is over 110 courses just for now, and it's growing very, very fast. So we use African expert to deliver expertise for African airport and for the industry. And it's mainly sharing knowledge and sharing expertise among airports. So we use our members for our members.
Thanks. I was also reading on your website that you have a peer review and excellence program. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, this is the APEX program. And the APEX initially is made.
Et le programme APEX a été initialement lancé pour les aéroports africains. Il est vraiment temps de partager des informations et des connaissances des membres affiliés. C'est un travail concerté et conjoint pour chercher les lacunes et pour essayer de faire
the ICAO requirement. So this group goes for 5 days and check everything as an audit, but it's a friendly audit. And this is to help the airport to look for the gaps and to recover in the objective of certification. And now the result of this program, which is the APEX or the peer review, is enormous. It helps a lot of airports to be certified. And we conducted till now about 50 peer reviews in Africa in safety. And now we start security and environment also.
I think that's a very good lesson that particularly airlines can learn from ACI. That some of the probably AFRAA should consider looking at using the expertise from some of the better endowed airlines to benchmark and support the less endowed ones, if possible. At least this is the only way we can enhance capacity and standardize the level of service across the industry.
Yes, in fact, look, the difference between airports and airlines is that there is no competition between airports, and there is some competition between airlines. So when we share knowledge, we share capacity, and so there is no competition. This is the opposite of airlines. So sometimes it's not easy for airlines to share knowledge. But in the objective of safety and security, they can do it frankly and for the best of the industry. In the other side, there is a similar program that ACI and IATA and other organizations do the same as the runway safety team, which is similar to APEX. It's a review. So a group of experts from airlines and airports, and also ICAO goes to an airport to look for gaps, and also to help the airport looking for or to ameliorate the safety, mainly in the runway field and for the runway excursion and so. So it's a joint program with airlines and airports and ICAO.
That's good. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about the impact of COVID on airports. You know, to some extent, there's always a saying that airlines and airports are conjoined twins at the hip. And whatever affects one affects the other. So during this COVID, airlines are really suffering and they're struggling. What is the story about airports in Africa?
This COVID is destroying the industry. I think that air transport industry and tourism are highly impacted with COVID. It's worse than all the other crises before, like the Gulf War of 1990, the Asian crisis, 1996, and so. And globally, the decline in passenger traffic has been catastrophic for airports in the second quarter of 2020, with a loss of more than 2.1 billion passengers from April to June 2020, compared with the corresponding period in 2019. Subsequently, waves of pandemic in different regions of the world in the third and fourth quarter of 2020 and at the beginning of 2021 completely suppressed the initial hope of a swift recovery and ultimately result in only a very slight improvement in air traffic worldwide, mainly with the resumption of domestic flights. So in 2020, Africa experienced 65.5% drop in traffic compared to 2019. So it's a loss about 150 million passengers. Globally, the drop in passenger traffic was about 61% in 2020 compared to 2019, with Europe recording the largest shortfall, which is around 70%. So since the beginning of 2021, there has been a small improvement, and we expect the gap compared to 2019 to be around minus 50% for Africa by the end of 2021.
So how are airports managing in this crisis? Because I see airlines are cutting corners, they're reducing their staff, they're reducing frequencies, they're parking aircraft, and doing all sorts of things just to stay afloat until traffic resumes. What are airports doing in the interim?
In Africa, it's very special. Most of the African airports is owned by governments, and the private sector is very small in managing airports. So most of the airports are supported by government, but some airports have some actions like asking for early retirement of staff. Also some other action to reduce the expenses, reduce the activity. Some airports that have more than one terminal close some terminal to reduce the expenses on and expenditure on equipment and so. But most of the support comes from the government who owned the airports. And the impact of the COVID on airports, it's not compared to airlines, because airlines, the expenses when the when the planes are stopped, it's huge. So you expend money when you don't fly. Either for airports it's the same, but it's not the same scale. So we know that there is a lot of damage, but mostly it's supported by government. Also for airlines that owned by government or company managed by government, it's the same. It's supported by governments.
So with some of these measures being put in place, what is your assessment? Do you think going into the future, safety and capacity building within the airport environment will be compromised?
Yes, yes. In fact, we are optimistic for the future. We are waiting to recover in 2023 or 2024. So we hope that we will come back to usual traffic as 2019 in two or 3 years. And this is also depends on the vaccination in Africa, and also the protocols of travel enter in the region and also between countries. In fact, just to note here that Africa is not well vaccinated, and the level of vaccination is under 3%, which will impact hugely the recovery of traffic, looking that a lot of countries or a lot of regions now allow only vaccinated people to travel. This is one, in the one side. In the other side, a lot of regions or countries allow only certain vaccine to be allowed to get in these countries, like AstraZeneca and Sinopharm is not allowed, but others are allowed, like Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. And just to know that most of African countries are vaccinated by Sinopharm and AstraZeneca. And here I know that it's kind of discrimination for Africa to travel to Europe or to Middle East or so. So we should find a solution through the African Union and the organization to stop this discrimination and allow all vaccinated people to travel independently of their vaccine type.
Yeah. So, but what are some of the efforts that ACI and other industry stakeholders are making to ensure that the industry recovers and to support their members to be ready for the recovery?
Yes, in fact, as you know, now with the ban of travel for 2020 until now, there is no way to travel. So ACI is using all its support online, and through the African Development Program, as I speak in the beginning, we deliver a lot of support, mainly through training, and till now we train at minimum 250 person staff from airports freely. It's scholarship given for free from ACI to the staff, mainly in safety, security, and sustainability. And we think that this is the minimum that we can do to maintain the level of skills and capacity building for our members. Also, we develop other support, like helping airports to be certified and accompaniment. And mainly now it's through internet, but immediately when the borders are opened, we have a huge program to help our members. In fact, we just to know that ACI is a non-profit organization. So all the money we gain and we own is distributed to our members through assistance program and the training. And this is our mission, and this is the minimum that we can do to help our members. So this is directly to deliver to our member, but you know that we act, we join our voices to the industry, like AFRAA, IATA, ICAO, to ask government to support the industry for the easy recovery. So we lobby together, we support each other, and we ask mainly government to facilitate the opening of border, and to also to help industry to recover, mainly airlines and some airports, to have some resources to recover. It's not easy to stay 1 or 2 years without activity and stay in the same level. So most of the airlines and airports are suffering, and we hope that joining together our voice to government to help this institution to maintain the industry.
Exactly. It's been difficult to get government support, but it's trickling in, and we just hope government up their game so that beyond COVID, we still have a viable industry to continue to support Africa. But let me go back to a point that you raised earlier on. You mentioned you have quite a number of airports which are members of ACI across 53 countries of Africa. Now, I know that all of these airports are not of the same size and they don't receive similar volumes of traffic. So can you briefly tell me the categories of airports? How many would you say are big, medium, and small?
Yes, yeah. Just as you said, Africa is a huge in land and a huge in diversity and also huge in diversity of airports. In 2019, just to tell you that only 5 airports in Africa handled passenger more than 10 million passenger per year, which is good number. But this is only 5 airports, which is OR Tambo in South Africa, followed by Cairo, Addis Ababa, and Ethiopia and Cape Town, and in the fifth one is Mohammed V Airport in Morocco. Also, based in statistic of 2019, only 47 airports, or 22%, handled more than 1 million passengers per year. So, in general, the threshold of 1 million passengers per year reflect the breakpoint of an airport. So below this threshold, ACI Africa consider that an airport is generally operating in a loss. So 1 million passenger is the minimum level of traffic for an airport to be efficient financially. So now with some 82% of airports in Africa serving fewer than 1 million passengers compared to the worldwide average, which is 66%, the overall result is that many of those airports experience poor economic performance. So most of the airports, or 82% of airports in Africa, is losing money. So in the other side, just to understand the system, how airports are operated. In fact, most of the African countries follow the airport network management, which is mean that the larger airport in the country subsidize or help other small airports to survive. So if you have, for example, like in Tunisia, you have 7 or 9 airports, there is only 1 or 2 which is strong economically and distribute to the small airports to survive, and together they will offer a network of airports. Otherwise, if we consider all small airports independently, 82% of airports will not be efficient and will close. So we will have a lot of we lose a lot of airports.
It's quite a difficult situation. We have only about 18% of airports that are probably making money. And,
no, it's the opposite. It's 18% that's making money, yes, but 82% is losing money.
Yeah, 82% losing money. That is very serious. But what other efforts are they making to generate additional source of revenue? Because that has always been the bane of airlines. Airlines are always saying, look, airlines and airports just keep depending on airlines for their revenue. But I'm sure some of them might be doing other things to generate supplementary revenue from other sources. What are some of those?
In fact, just to know that the incomes in the airport industry is coming from two main resources. We call that non-aeronautical revenue and aeronautical revenues. Aeronautical revenues is linked and directly linked to passenger or to movement, aircraft movement. So when there is movement, there is incomes. But the non-aeronautical revenues are related to commercial, like travel retail, concessions, and all the business around the airports. Fortunately, now the non-commercial revenues is growing, and we see the benefit of encouraging and developing this source of revenue as the second source. But in Africa, unfortunately, the level of incomes from non-aeronautical revenue is very low compared to the rest of the world. It's about 27% compared to the average of 45 or 46% from the average of the world. So now ACI is encouraging airports to rely more and more on non-aeronautical revenue, so to have a lot of resources to maintain and for the management of the airports and to develop infrastructure, and also to reduce taxes and to have more resources to develop airports. And it's mainly through duty-free tax shops that we are working, mainly with MEDFA, our partner. It's the Association of Duty Free that we work to develop this this business. What we see that it needs a lot of effort. Looking that the regulation is not easy for the trade of duty free in Africa. We just finished last week a webinar together with MEDFA to encourage airports to strengthen this sector. Also to look for the new regulation, which is now become threat for the business of duty-free shops in Africa.
Okay, thank you. But you know, so they're doing something to generate supplementary revenue, call it non-aeronautical revenue, which is commendable. But I'm sure there could be room for improvements once traffic resumes to even do more. Now, but you mentioned earlier that about 82% of your members are losing money. Now, this is against the clamor call for airports to be privatized. I don't know who will put money into a loss-making airport, or will there be a magic in private capital?
In fact, privatized the sector is bringing a lot of advantage, mainly now after the COVID. It will bring fresh resources and fresh money to the industry, and you know, most of the airports worldwide, or big part of airports worldwide, are private. And if we look to the percentage in Africa, only 11% of African airports are privatized, and worldwide it's about 50 or 60%. So we have a lot to do, mainly in regulation, to facilitate, to attract investor to come and manage airports. So this is done. ACI, in fact, encourage privatization or partnership, in fact, private and public partnership. And it's not a model that's shaping all. There is a lot of model of partnership, and each country is free to adopt a model of partnership, depending on the revenue, depending on the structure of the airports, the structure of the industry, because it's not only the airport who's privatized. Sometimes it's a big pack of services. So for us, we encourage privatization as a partnership to ameliorate mainly safety, security, and to encourage investment. The main model, in fact, in Africa is there is two main models of partnership. The one is to privatize or to partner for the main airports, the big airports, and this is attract more investor because the first or the biggest airport have a lot of resources and manage more than 1 million passenger. So it's efficient financially, and the government after that redistribute to small airports, so take in charge the rest of the airports. So this is one model. The second model is to privatize the network of airports to one operator. So the operator will have in charge to manage between airports, to gain from one and to distribute to others. So this is the two models, but it depends. Each country and government have its strategy, and we encourage partnership, but everyone have to make his study and his strategy for the partnership.
Okay, this is a good point for me to go to our delegates and then check on some of the questions I've just been looking at, and one of them is asking whether, with what you have just said, do you think there will be enough appetite from the private sector for getting involved in some of the airport privatizations, should governments decide to?
Yes, it depends. As I said, it depends on the pack. So, for example, the concession or the privatization depends on the time. If it's a short time, it's not interested. If it's a very long period of time, more than 30 years, so the investor will have the time to develop, to invest, and to bring money back. So to be a good deal. So it depends. And there is no model for all countries, but the country should be flexible and know in advance the capacity and the resources that you will give to the concession or to the private sector to attract him. For example, some airports, the airports, it's not the only concession. It's part of the concession. For example, there is a pack with the development of the tourism sector, with airports jointly with hotels, with infrastructure. And here, it's a big pack. When the airport is small, so the pack of privatization can be big and diverse. So the investor will have a lot of resources to recover and to have a good deal. Otherwise, if we look to the 82% of airports under 1 million, so it's not attractive. Maybe when we have the open sky and the SAATM implemented, maybe this will increase traffic, and the traffic will attract more and more private sector to
So now there's a follow-up question from Elijah, who wants to know, with many of the airports not making money, what will be your focus? Would you be looking at private sector, non-African entities that might be interested in investing in airports to come in and invest in airports, similar to what has happened in Kigali Airport, where Qatar Airways is invested in that airport? Or you are looking at basically Africa privatizing to Africans?
Look, here it's about resources and potential of investment, and also technology transfer. So government are free to look for through tenders and to look for which the objective of the concession. Sometimes it's only to concede and to develop. Sometimes they have the need to develop, but there is no money. So just to concede or to privatize just the terminal, and it's the only need. Sometimes it's the big pack. So it's each country, it depends on what the needs, what the strategy, and also the objective of the concession. So sometimes we need more than the concession. We need the know-how, we need the technology transfer. Sometimes it's only the investment that we are looking. Sometimes when the airport is ready, like some airports, like for example, Mauritania, when they finish the airport, they privatize it. So they didn't need money. They need only know-how and management.
I get that. Now, another question. Thank you for this response. Another question, a follow-up question from Elijah. What is your view about airlines owning airports?
In fact, it's we don't encourage that because we cannot have the two sides. It's not for the competition, and for the equity, it's not equal, because automatically you will go and give privilege to your own company. So we are for the diversity and equity, and we cannot privilege an airline with all assistance and help from the airport, and outsider come and didn't have the same privilege. And we cannot looking that it's the same company that manage airport and airlines. They will never be equal compared to other airlines, and we are opposite to this trend. And airport, which should be neutral compared to all airlines, either the national airlines. So this is our own view.
I hear you. So in other words, for those who are football fans, what Ali is basically saying is that you cannot be a referee and a fair player at the same time. Something must be. You know, so it's better if you have an independent referee and the two teams can play together. I get that. In the interest of fairness to all the operators to the airport. I thank you very much for that. Ali, let's go back to our discussion, and then I'll take some more questions. I have a lot more questions coming on. Let's go back to our discussion, and I'll get back to these questions in a short while. Now, another concern that worries airlines is about service delivery and service levels. If you travel across Africa, you see there are different standards of service delivery at different airports. Some more efficient than others. Some doing basically their own thing. You wonder whether their standards at the airport or not. Now, is there a way ACI is helping these airlines to get through this?
In fact, it depends on countries and on the structure of the industry across Africa. As you said, each country and each airport has in its own structure and also ownership. For example, some airports have a handling company owned by airports. And the other side or the other country, some handling company is owned by airlines. And this is bring the difference, because it's the government that give all this structure or allow the structure and deliver a license to airports or to airlines. And this is where is the difference. For me, it's better to be most of the service should be independent, so to serve only the passenger equally. In some countries, it's not the same. So, for example, I speak about Tunisia, or what the airlines is owned the handling company. So most of the service is owned by the airline, and the airports only offers service and facilities, but they didn't deliver services. In other countries, it's totally the opposite. And here there is a difference. And I know in Africa, service is not very well delivered because of the lack of quality, the lack of skills, training, and also the lack of competition. There is a lot of monopolies in Africa, and this is allow bad service. And
that was my next question about monopoly service providers and airport manager providing services. So, for instance, the airport company, who is also the handling company in some cases, and in other cases where you just have one service provider at the airport. So it's a take it or leave it. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as I said, competition allow quality of service. Monopolies destroy quality of service. So, in Africa, it's very diverse. It's the government that allow that give this authorization. And we know that to protect the industry, or to protect mainly airlines or airports, the government give only one certificate to operate for the airline or for the airport, and it's mostly to airlines. And airlines, as in Africa, I think that it's the privileged boy of the government. So all the privileges is given to airlines to allow them to own some money and to be strong and to get some money to operate. But the result is what happened is lack of quality of service, and also there is no diversity. So we are focusing on that. We are trying to push government to allow competitiveness and to make diversity. But it's not our decision, because most of the airports and airlines in Africa is owned by government. So they protect themselves, in fact.
Yeah. Now let me touch on this rather sensitive issue between airports and airlines, and it has to do with the issue of taxes and charges. You know, in Africa, many of the airlines are not efficient. They operated the wrong aircraft, flying the wrong routes, have enormous cost structures that cannot support, and as a result, they charge higher fares. But somehow, they also claim that part of the high fares they charge is attributable to airport fees and charges, and also government taxes.
Yeah.
Now, to what extent do you think airports are actually impacting the business of airlines through taxes, charges, and fees?
You know, this is eternal problem between airports and airlines, and I think in between there is a misunderstanding of the problem. In fact, we should make the difference between charges and taxes. This is the first. Charges is about the expense of, to recover the expense of the airport with the service delivered to airlines. And taxes, this is owned by or given by the government. And it's go directly to government, which in most of the time it's not related to the business or to the service of delivered by the airport. And this is very special in Africa, really very special, because in Africa, aviation is considered as a privilege, as luxury. So luxury should be taxed. And in Africa, we like this, the facility of taxing aviation, because it's bring fresh money to the government. So for them, aviation or the air transport industry is luxurious, is luxury, and should be taxed like makeup or liquors and so. And we are fighting this this way of thinking, because it's destroying the industry, and instead of bringing money, it's don't encouraging airlines to come to the country. So we are totally opposite. We are supportive of the ICAO regulation about taxes and charges, but we are opposite to the over taxes bring by the government to get fresh money from the industry. We are with the democratization of aviation. The aviation should be allowed to all category of the population and accessible for all, and that with very low taxes and charges. But if the government imposes you as the airport to collect this money for them, you can do nothing. You just apply that. And airports are opposite of that, because it's not encouraging growing of the traffic and giving a bad image of Africa air transport industry.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. So you are aligned with the airlines when it comes to taxes, and as far as charges are concerned, look, it's basically on cost recovery on the service that is provided to you.
Yeah, in fact, I am with partner for the same objective.
Yeah.
I speak about airports and taxes, but in the other side, airlines should be also flexible enough and don't overtax the routes when they are monopolized by one airlines. And airlines have a very big role to play. For example, in Africa, there is very low or very small airports or very low number of airports of airlines that apply charter or low-cost carriers. So the effort should be jointly from airports and from airlines. It's the cost of the tickets, but in the end.
For our last 10 minutes, I want us to focus on two more areas: the single African air transport market and the Africa continental free trade area, and the collaboration among industry stakeholders. And then we still have a couple of questions to take all of this within 10 minutes. So let's be as brief as possible. So do you see opportunity for airports with the single African air transport market in the continental free trade area?
Yeah, we have all benefit to implement the SAATM. In fact, it will bring more traffic for airports, and more traffic means more resources, more development, and more efficiency.
Are you optimistic? Are you
yes,
optimistic?
I'm optimistic, but here I should note that the manager of the program should take notes of the role of airports. But because I know that in all the agreement for SAATM, airports are not there; it didn't exist. So we have a role to play, and we should be in the agreement. It seems that SAATM is only for airlines, but airports have a lot to play. So we should also change the mind of the manager of the creator of the program. We have a role to play, and we should be inside the SAATM.
Good. So that is a message going directly to the executing agency who are handling the project implementation unit at AFCAC, who are handling the SAATM implementation. They need to engage more the airports because they are part and parcel of this whole process going forward. Now, but there are always concerns about capacity challenges, infrastructure challenges. So how are airports going to ready themselves for this traffic boom shoot?
As we said before, when it comes, maybe privatization or partnership with the private sector will be one of the solution. Otherwise, traffic, when it comes with the resources, with money, and government should note that and invest. And investing in the right airport, the right place, because sometimes we know that some investment goes in the wrong places, and sometimes it's over capacity. We invest in some places where there is no efficiency, and for me, it's a joint decision between airports and airlines. When there is airport, should be airlines based. So to bring traffic, an airport without airlines is nothing, and the other side is the same.
Good. It's great you really appreciate the symbiotic relationship between airports and airlines, which is critical. Yes. Now, there are a number of stakeholders within the aviation industry. Airlines and airports are just one, but you have the civil aviation authorities. You have all manner of operators. Earlier you mentioned about duty-free. All of these are stakeholders today. Now, in these difficult times of COVID, and even going beyond that, how is ACI working with some or all of these organizations to support the entire aviation industry, not just a specific sector?
In fact, we work together. AFRAA was part of the joint work for for the recovery. In last year, we developed together guideline and recommendation for the African Union to help the recovery of the industry. And we are supportive, and this is on international side, but in domestic or national side, airports in most of the country is the leader of the facilitating and security and safety committees. So he work with all the stakeholders in the platform of the airport. So he lead at minimum one meeting a month to coordinate, facilitate, and now with the crisis, airports inside the platform or an airport is the leader for all the action made to facilitate, to have more safer and more quality delivering for passengers. So we are not alone. We are always working with all the stakeholders, and this is the heart of the industry. No one can work alone. We are obliged to work together, and only together, sincerely, we can gain this crisis and gain all the challenges of the industry.
Yeah, you recently signed a memorandum of understanding with AFRAA.
Yes.
Now, what should we expect beyond just the signatures on a piece of paper with some laudable ideas?
In fact, I am very happy with this agreement, and this is to show that together we can do a lot. And the object is sharing and promoting best practices and constructive management, also looking for safer industry, high level quality of the industry. In fact, we have a lot to do together. And I hope that this is a starting of partnership with other stakeholders. As I said, we are obliged to work together, and this MOU, the agreement, is to show that we can do a lot together. And also, I ask more stakeholders to join and to sign this agreement to show that we are together, not only on writing, but in practical also.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm going back now to our questions from our delegates who are listening to us and watching us on this platform. Now, there's a question from Noel. He started with a statement that two things are required for airports to be profitable and sustainable: economies of scale and operational efficiency. Yet, airports are not marketing their airports, their facilities, to airlines so that airlines could sell them as destinations. What is the problem?
Yeah, this is really a very good question. In fact, you should know the structure of aviation. Aviation, airlines and airports are the end of the line. But behind this, there is a government air transport agreement. You, for example, you cannot travel from Kenya to Tunis directly because maybe there is no air transport agreement. So either you market your infrastructure and you market your airline and your facility, you cannot act alone. Behind that, there is agreement. And here, there is a big role of the government, of the civil aviation, to promote the destination. Because before any agreement, any routes or creation of the routes, we need a government agreement to travel. And this is the role of SAATM. Because now the situation in Africa is one-to-one. It's not open to all. So no company, no airlines can go anywhere. They should, behind that, have a government or agreement between the two countries. But maybe in the future, with the SAATM implementation, we will be free to travel and free to go. Any airlines can go anywhere, and any airports can attract any airlines. Okay. And in this case, we'll be happy to promote. Otherwise, we will have very limited.
We actually run out of time, but I have two more questions to take. One is from Daniel Hayu, and he's saying, how does ACI assist airlines to ease the cost burden that emanates from fast increasing airport-related costs, especially during this COVID period? Is there any way you're doing to help your members bring down the cost so airlines can get a breather, because it's tough on everybody?
In fact, we are in the same boat. The crisis destroyed the whole industry. It's not affecting only airlines or airports, so we are all together. So we try to help each other, and it depends on on countries. And I know that some airports or some government allow to divide this taxes, or not decrease, but have some facilitation on the payment, looking the crisis. But it depends on the government. We are encouraging airports to find their own solution to keep the industry and to help airlines. But we are not a regulatory body. Just we advise, and we in our notes, internal notes, we advise airports to help airlines in the right manner for them to keep the industry, and also to encourage airlines to deliver more and more, and to be.
Yeah. Now there's a question from Lonnie Relay, but I think you dealt with this. This had to do with whether you think a liberalized market is needed to grow traffic post-COVID, and if the adoption of SAATM will help. I think we dealt with the issue of SAATM earlier on. And there's another one from Suleiman Masindi, who says, what could be the motivation for African airports to embrace privatization as a strategy to establish customer-expected airport operation excellence at acceptable prices? I think we also dealt with the issue of airports and privatization at length. And on that note, I think this, I go back to now my final bit, which is just to request you to tell us if there are any upcoming ACI Africa events or activities that you think our audience might benefit by participating in.
Yeah. In fact, usually we have two events a year. One in the spring in March and April, and one the assembly in September or October. So with the COVID, we canceled the two events for 2020 and 2021, and maybe we'll have the next year the spring meeting in Mombasa in April, and the assembly in Casablanca, in Marrakech in Morocco. But for now, speaking about privatization, as I said, we encourage privatization as a support of the recovery. We will have next week, we will have a webinar about privatization and how private sector can play a role in the new normal. And we invite you all to join this very, very important webinar, which is part of our strategy to help airports to recover, and also to ameliorate service quality and develop safety and security in the African airports.
Great, thank you. Now I got a very important question from Mr. Kamal Millet. Mr. Kamal is saying, look, with COVID, everything has changed. Things are getting tougher and things might never get back to what they were before. So it is absolutely important for airports to change their economic model. In this framework, what is ACI proposing as a solution to the airports to change their business model going forward?
Yeah, it depends. As I said, it depends on the country and on the trend. So changing model, it's a good way to look for more efficiency But what kind of model? There is a lot and a lot of model, and there is no one model shaping all. So each country have a lot of challenge, a lot of requirement, and changing model for airports involve automatically changing model for the whole industry in this country. So, for example, if we speak about privatization, airports can be a part of privatization. Maybe airlines can be privatized also, and all the industry chain. So we have no model, as I said, for or solution for all, but each country is free to implement and to change, looking their requirement, their structure, and the strategy of the government. But we encourage to be more efficient and to look mainly for the quality of service, to facilitate the journey, and also to be efficient. The model, monopole model, is not the solution because it has its limit. And having multi-stakeholders, multi-partner, encouraging competition is one of the solutions, and I encourage all the government to follow that. This is a solution for
excellent, excellent. Now, Mr. Ali, I really appreciate your time, but I cannot let you go even though we're running out of time. I cannot let you go without allowing you 1 minute to actually tell your stakeholders what your final thoughts to the industry, to states, to governments, to the airline companies, to all the other places in the aviation sector is. You have 1 minute. Thank you very much.
In fact, just to say that airports will be the major driver of the aviation recovery, but they cannot do it alone. The industry will be stronger together. And by together, I mean all aviation stakeholders, government, and of course, funding agencies. By coming together, we will lay the groundwork for recovery, for sure. But in the specific area of Africa, we must also take the issue that existing before COVID-19, affecting safety, security, and capacity building, so that the airline industry can deliver economic and social benefit to the community it serves on the continent on a sustainable manner. So Aci Africa mission is to help African airports achieve their missions. And Aci Africa is determined to do everything in its power through its core program, which is the African Development Program, to help African airports overcome their challenges with confidence by supporting them in management and exploiting and capacity building, especially in this time of crisis. So hope we recover soon, hope we come back to usual aviation, and hope that together we'll succeed.
On that note, I thank you so much, Mr. Ali Tounsi, Secretary General of Aci Africa, for your time. I also want to thank our very participative audience who have cut across the world, joining us for this 1 hour of exciting discussion. I thank all the audience who have made contributions through questions and answers or through comments in the chat box. We do appreciate your participation. And next month, on the 4th of August, I will be hosting on this show the UN World Tourism Organization Director for African Affairs, Ms. Elsia Grandport, on this same program to go through the tourism aspects of it, and she will share some more light on what the industry is going through from the tourism perspective, but touching on all the other aspects of the business, as this industry is very much interrelated. Ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Tounsi said, on the 13th of July, ACI will be holding an African airports privatization in the new normal. They're holding this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not registered yet and you want to attend, please try and register. If you don't have the link, contact ACI or contact the AFRAA Secretariat, and we will avail you the link, and you can register to join in this very exciting event coming up. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a wonderful day and a blessed week ahead. Have all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Rafael. Ciao.